Are you or someone you know looking to buy or sell a home? When you use a HomeGain Realtor to buy or sell a home, you can get $150. Visit homegain.com and click on the Promo 150 banner at the top of the page to get started. Compare HomeGain Realtors and choose your favorite. Complete your home purchase or sale transaction with a HomeGain Realtor, and HomeGain will pay you $150. Get started today by going to homegain.com. Welcome back, everyone, to Real Estate 360 Live. I'm your host, Ryan Sloper, joined today by my guest, Louis Cammarosano, the general manager of HomeGain. Quick reminder, Real Estate 360 is designed to build the Washington, D.C. Metro's housing and credit markets one house at a time. If you ever have any questions, concerns, or real estate needs, the best number to reach out to us is 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030, or via the web at realestate360live.com. That's realestate360live.com. So for today, our Credit Fix segment, where we tell you the nitty-gritty on what the banks and credit bureaus don't want you to know. Our credit expert, Ronnie Lambeth, is not here today. He's been sick over the last week. So what he did was, one of the clients that we were mutually working with, I want to kind of give you exactly what happened over the last 90 days. There was a client that came to us that had, a bunch of collections that she had actually went to another bank and tried to get pre-approved, and her scores were too low. They basically denied her a loan. So, at that point, it's pretty demoralizing when, a lot of people don't check their credit regularly, which is one of the things that Ronnie and I always talk about, is making sure that you do have a handle on what's going on with your credit. Don't just let it sit there in the background and assume that you have good or bad credit. You need to be checking it regularly, at least once a year. But if I typically tell people every 6 months, just check it to make sure there's not anything fuzzy or funny that's popping up on there that's not yours. So, after she realized that she was denied a loan, it was completely demoralizing for her, and she thought that there was just no hope she wasn't going to be able to get a home. So I ended up getting in contact with her. Not sure exactly how I came across. I think somebody had referred her to me, but after reviewing her report, I had determined that, the majority of everything that was on there was just collections, like, medical collections, some older collections from like 8-9 years ago that were either paid or not hers. And I knew that this was it was a perfect client that we could help. And, we were able to send her over to Rondi, and she started with a 520 credit score about 90 days ago. And from 90 till now, which her scores are now 680. Now, for those of you listening that are really not sure about credit score and credit grading as far as trying to obtain a mortgage, if you're, under a 640, you're probably not going to get one. So at 520, they were ruling her out, couldn't get a loan. 90 days later, she's at a 680. Okay? This is somebody that thought they were down and out, didn't have a chance to buy, thought it was going to be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years before she could ever buy, and 90 days later, she's now in the market to buy. So the story got better because she was a first-time home buyer and was able to take advantage of one of the state programs that would basically fund a portion of that down payment. So all she really had to come to the table with was $500 and got into her home. Now, I tell you that story because there is many people out there, it might be you, that are in similar situations that are just like, I'm unsure about where I start, and I don't even think that I may qualify. I mean, Louis, this is probably at least 50% to a quarter of the country that are in similar circumstances. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I always like hearing these stories because I think the general perception is that you have a credit score, and that credit score is authoritative, and you saw it online on wherever you saw it, freecreditreport.com, and you just throw the towel in. And I think reaching out again to a professional, you can improve your chances of improving your credit score, getting a better price on a house, understanding the market better. These are things that people need to do. Yeah,
and don't let your credit score control you in your life. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, what they do is they have a few things go wrong. They may have lost a job or something like that, and they got behind on a few things, and just think that it's the end of the world. We talk all the time about all the rich millionaires out there that at some point have went through bankruptcy and everything else. Life happens. It's okay, but it's what you do with it. And I tend to tell people that, it's okay that you've went through these bad things, but let's correct it. Let's move back towards going in the right direction. The best thing about dealing with Rondi and this is why I recommend him, is because he's not taking any of your money unless he's successful at getting these items deleted off your credit report. So essentially what you have is a win-win situation where you're not having to pay for anything unless he's successful in deleting it. It doesn't really get any better than that. Wouldn't you agree, Lewis?
Pay for performance is always a good model.
Yeah, I mean, and he's so, he's that confident, he's had that much success. I mean, I think his success rate is somewhere around like 85%. And remember, guys, there's not anything that cannot be removed from your credit report. It is a misnomer that things have to stay on your credit report for a specific period of time. That's not true at all.
Well, I think that is the main thing, is people see something online, just like when they get a home valuation, they become married to the first thing that they see. They see the credit report says they have a 520, and then they think, okay, I have a 520.
Yep.
They don't think they can change that.
Yeah. That is very common. I mean, and it's such a big swing. I mean, just think about that. From 520 to 680 in 90 days. That's 160 points. So
it's the same person. Their actual credit worthiness did not change.
Nope. Not at all. Not at all. And, this is not even the end of this story, because he's still working on getting other items removed off of it. So ultimately, her credit score will probably end up in the 700s, which then makes her an A paper borrower to the banks. She'll start receiving, better credit card offers in the mail. When she goes to get an auto loan or any other type of loan, she's going to be rated completely different. That could be the difference in thousands of dollars a year. So it's not just about obtaining, a mortgage. It's more than that. It's getting in control of your finances and realizing that you have a say in it. 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030. If you guys are out there and you're trying to buy your first home and you're not sure where to start, or you think that, your credit is hindering you from being able to purchase, reach out to us. Like I said, these stories are great because you know what? This is somebody that thought that they were down and out, didn't have an opportunity to purchase a home with the low interest rate environment that's out there that everybody wants to take advantage of. And in 90 days, she was able to do so. For people that, have gone through bankruptcy, these situations, remember that you only have to be 2 years removed from bankruptcy to be able to purchase another home again. Most people think that it's like 7 or 8 years they can't buy. That's not the truth. 2 years with reestablished credit after the bankruptcy, you can buy another home. 2 years flies by. And, I'm not saying that the interest rates of 4% or sub 4% are here to stay, but at least you can get yourself moving towards the right direction. And to ultimately, at one point, put yourself in a position where you get to make the decision on whether you can buy and not let your credit score to make the decision for you. So, this is just, one of the many stories that we have going on right now. And I think that, the biggest part of most mortgage transactions and trying to get a loan completed is credit score, because rates are really determined big time now by a person's credit score. Before, it wasn't as much so. It was more on, just minimum credit score requirement would maybe been 620. And if you have over that, then you're going to fall in line and the pricing's not going to change. But now there's so many overlays. If you have a credit score between 720 and 740, it's one rate. Between 700 and 720, 660 to 680. And there's adjustments all the way down. So ultimately,
should have always been.
And that's the way it should have been. And that's kind of the mess that was created before, Lewis, that you spoke about, where it was basically money was too easy to get. And everybody was getting the same rates. Driving the prices up. Driving the prices through the roof. Now we've kind of gone in the opposite direction, and it's really hard to obtain a home loan. Not necessarily hard in all cases, but you really have to have all your I's dotted and T's crossed. And when it comes to the credit report, rest assured that that's one of the biggest things that they're going to look at. They're going to scrutinize. Because they're going to take your past performance and say, okay, well, if they're not willing to pay a Verizon bill for $50, then why should I give them a mortgage for $1,500? Put yourself in those shoes. If you were the one lending $200,000 and you saw on a person's report, these tiny collections, would you want to lend your money to them if they can't, get them paid? Now, I know a lot of people are going to tell me, you know what? I don't owe that money. I don't owe it, so I'm not going to pay it. Well, I understand that. It's still one way or the other you're going to pay for it, because you're going to pay for it in the terms of higher interest on other credit cards, auto loans, home loans. You're going to pay for it. Correct. So why not take the proactive approach and get it deleted off your report? That's
But you mentioned it's not a matter of whether you pay it; it's whether you get it off your report.
correct. Because you know what the problem, the thing is with credit is that typically the creditors do not report according to Fair Credit Reporting Act. So if they're reporting improperly, it must come off there. So
even if you still owe the money.
Even if you still owe the money, correct. Now people ask me all the time, can that show back up? The only time it's going to really show back up is if that collection company sells it to another collection company, and then they're going to report inaccurately again. Right? So that's the only thing that you have to watch out for. But once again, that comes into play for making sure that you're checking your credit report every 6 months so that you can, make sure that you're analyzing and that following it. And if things need to be taken care of, they're taken care of. I mean, collections, I believe that Rondi probably charges per bureau for a collection. I want to say it's like $25 or $50 to get it deleted. That's nothing. You know what I mean? Because that could be the difference in 50 to 80 points on your credit score. So, the bottom line is here, guys, I just want you to understand that you guys do have options when it comes to your credit report. You're in control of your own destiny. Don't let the big banks and credit bureaus control it. 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030. We're coming up on the end of the show. Louis, I want to thank you again for coming on. I think that all this information is really invaluable to the listeners. And I think the biggest thing is just, work with professionals, local professionals that know what they're talking about. And don't rely on necessarily the Warren Buffetts of the world to get your real estate advice. I think we kind of established that. And
absolutely. And thanks for having me today.
Not a problem. And how can listeners, let's say that they're going out to buy their first home, but they're not really sure, what agent to work with. What should they do in that case?
You can go to my favorite website, homegain.com. And on homegain.com, you can find a realtor. You can find that realtor anonymously by using the Find a Realtor service on HomeGain to the far left tab, or you can check out the price of your home. HomeGain has the original instant home valuation tool. You type in your address, you can get a free instant home valuation. You can search homes for sale on HomeGain. And you can also check out many of our surveys, our home ownership satisfaction survey, which we talked about in today's show. You can check out our home value survey, where we ask realtors and homeowners where they think home prices are going. And you can check out our HomeGain FSBO versus realtor survey, where we ask home sellers how well they fared using FSBO or using a realtor. You'll be surprised at the results. So you go to homegain.com, you can read real estate information, or you can help find a realtor or look at homes.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Louis. Have a great day.
Ryan. You too. Bye.
Guys, thank you again for tuning in today. Remember, we'll be back again next Monday from 2 to 3 p.m. right here on WNEW 1580 AM. If you have any questions, concerns, or real estate needs, the best number to reach out to me is 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030, or via the web at realestate360live.com. Guys, have a great day, have a great week, and be back again next week.